just sitting in my car about to go on a little shopping trip, but I wanted to take a few minutes to respond to a question that I got about following your desire even if it's going to hurt somebody else. And that's a really, really important question, because I think it's one of the main things that prevents us from following our inner voice. Or as the kind woman who wrote that question, she framed it as desires. And I want to make a distinction here between desires and your inner voice, because a lot of times we might talk about the two interchangeably, but I don't think they are interchangeable. Our desires can come from a place of conditioning, of anger, of fear, of resentment. So all these unconscious processes go on, and we have a desire as a result of an emotion. And that desire isn't necessarily coming from a place of real unity in our heart. It can be coming from a place of fear or momentary emotional response or reactivity. So the inner voice, to distinguish from that, is something that comes from a place of peace, stillness, and higher knowing. A place of unity within yourself is what I always like to call it. When you're feeling that unity and you're feeling the calling to walk a particular road or go a particular path, then that's the highest calling that you can possibly follow. And if that's calling you to somewhere, and you know that, say you're with a partner or a friend or a husband, a wife, that if what you need to do isn't lined up with what they want and desire, from my perspective, it means that they're not connected to their inner voice. If you are connected to your inner voice and they are connected to their inner voice, there's not going to be a difference in desires, in movement, in a desire to go somewhere and move somewhere and do something, because the place of union is a place of union for everybody. It's the same place. Our desires conflict all the time when they come from a place of emotion, unconscious fear, and conditioning. But when you truly connect to a place of unity, and say there's a conflict between two people, and you both connect to that place of unity, there's only going to be one path, and one path only, that both of you can see clearly. And the hurt comes when expectations aren't met. When I have an expectation of you treating me a certain way and that doesn't happen, that's what hurt is. Because we talk about feelings getting hurt all the time, but really, what does that mean? It simply means our expectations about the situation aren't met. Our friend didn't arrive on time. Our husband didn't clean up after himself. It's from personal experience there, so but you understand where I'm going with this, is that hurt is simply unmet expectations. And when you can look closely at that, you can ask yourself where those expectations come from, if they're aligned with your inner voice, if they are coming from a place of generosity in your heart, where you see a person in their wholeness. And it's okay if you don't. The emotional and instinctual body continue to do its thing. But if you can gain a higher perception of yourself as you go through that, and as you align yourself with your inner voice, you'll see that maybe in that 15 minutes that somebody was late, you got to do something or got to be somewhere where you could take advantage of that 15 minutes and take some deep breaths to yourself. Or your husband didn't clean up after himself, and it's an opportunity to have another heart-to-heart conversation and really listen to each other, because ultimately to really live a life of adventure and fulfillment, that inner voice is what's going to take you there. And if it's not being with somebody who can't connect with their inner voice and see that same unity for you and see you in your wholeness, then yeah, you know, that choice is going to hurt them, and it's sad. It's sad for both of you. But ultimately, it will serve, because living a lie absolutely doesn't serve anybody. Now, the opportunity does exist to invite whoever you're afraid of hurting into a place of depth and wholeness. If they don't want to go there, nothing you can do. But the opportunity is really there when you're afraid of hurting somebody, to build intimacy through the conversation and through that fear. And maybe they won't rise to the occasion, but if you're going to hurt them anyway, what do you have to lose? Leading with your vulnerability in that conversation is probably the highest service that you could do for that person, and your opportunity to hurt them the least in the long run. So I hope that was clear. I talked about feeling hurt and what that means in terms of not having met expectations, the difference between desire and your inner voice, where desire comes from that emotional brain, and your inner voice is really a higher place, where you're connected to your place of unity and stillness and silence within you, and what arises from there. And then just really talking about how to bring intimacy in those situations where you really invite each other to listen. You can listen to me while I talk, you can listen to me while I talk. There's a lot of ways to do that. This is a short video where I can't go into all the tips I can give you about engaging in those kind of authentic conversations, but now that I think about it, I will make a video about that soon, so that it'll be a follow-up to this one. Okay, thanks again for checking this out, and hopefully you can apply it in the best possible way. Look forward to hearing any follow-up questions, any comments, any experiences that you have. I love building community around these topics. See you soon.